we bring in Jason Jones of The Athletic, as you see there on his sweatshirt, and of course the J Street Vibes podcast. Jason, we're gearing up for the Mega Powers Explode tomorrow night, the match of the century, the game of the century, with the Sacramento Kings and the Indiana Pacers. James seems to be of the foolish notion that we're not going to know who won the trade tomorrow. I've been very clear. The winner of tomorrow night's game wins the trade. That's how this works.
Oh, of course, because then what you got to do is go like on NBA 2K and put the trade in again and see what the trade still go through. Like what Indiana wants the bonus back. If it doesn't work, that So that's how you got to figure these things out. We don't. What good are facts and perspective in these things? We got to make a decision right now.
No. I mean, what good is long-term assessment?
Yeah, I mean, who cares about that stuff? We got to know now who won the trade.
I believe that's fair. We have to know right now, which is why this game is taking place tomorrow. This game wouldn't happen if it wasn't determined to determine the winner of the trade.
I'm with you on that one. So hey, that'll be. We'll know for sure if that trade was worth it tomorrow night.
I think it's because James isn't a wrestling fan. Like when you look at everything through a wrestling perspective, it all makes so much more sense. The Mega Powers explode, just like Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. The Ultimate Challenge, just like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. You enter the ring, the best man leaves.
Right, and whoever had the better game was the better. Whether if
that's it.
If Tyrese has a better game than De'Aaron, that means the Kings messed up.
Yeah. Those are the rules.
It's pretty simple.
Them are the rules. It's funny.
It will go on Twitter and someone will be going off about what an idiot Monty McNair is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So your WWE, like Jason knows that I don't know that at all either. Okay. I remember Jason years ago. You said, "Hey, look, Rick Ross is on the sidelines. Is sitting courtside," and I'm like, "Is he a wrestler?" See, it happened.
That was a wild time in Sacramento when we just had random rappers just showing up at Sleep Train. What was it?
Kelsey Grammer.
It's like, why is Kelsey Grammer at a Kings game?
Why is Frazier here?
Yeah, it was just like random. Like, remember, like T.I. was at a game. I'm like, why are you here? Like, and it was never like the game was tied to like that person's hometown. It was like, really? Like, they're not playing the Hawks. Why did T.I. want to show up here? Like,
did anybody get an answer as to why Frazier was here?
No, one game Glenn Close was there. It's like, why is Glenn Close here? Like, what is happening?
The greatest of all time was when Drake was there. That was the best one ever because DeMarcus had just went off on George Karl, and then like lo and behold, there's Drake hugging people, and it's like.
See, I told you guys this story, and no one believed me. Jason will back me up.
And it was the greatest part about it was Karam Butler looks at me and goes, "This is how they do things here." Because he's like, "Do you guys realize what just happened in here?" And like, now we got Drake, and like, no one's like, Drake is like, "Hey, I'm here," and they're like, "Whatever."
The whole room was silent. They were all in these little groups, and it was like, "Hi, Drake."
Yeah, that was by far my most favorite awkward celebrity appearance. This is like Drake after George Karl got read the riot act by his best player. It was wonderful.
I love that is universally regarded as the absolute best. Just random King story is the night Drake popped into the locker room after DeMarcus Cousins went nuts on somebody. Let's also not forget, before we learned he made a living stealing from poor black people, Brett Favre was here for reasons known to nobody with Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell and Brett Favre were sitting in the front row of a Kings game recently.
Maybe Brett Favre was here to steal.
He could. He was scouting Del Paso Heights. He was like,
wow.
I could get in, I could set up shop here.
I don't even know that they were there together. I think they just all of a sudden they put them next to each other. Like I don't think that they came together. I think it's like all of a sudden Chuck Liddell's so now he's being dragged through the mud because he was there with Brett Favre, the Steeler. I mean,
we've had some pretty epic randomness on King's side. Like, why are you like really? Like, why are you here? Like we had Jim Rome night for some reason.
You remember when Tiffany sang at halftime? An internal flame happened.
Yeah. Once again, I show up and we go completely off the rails and random stuff. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. We're setting the stage, as we said, for the game of the century tomorrow. Jay,
Well,
you're
going to be courtside tomorrow. Then, like, do we get like Brad Miller and like we got to we got to get Peja and we got to get Ron back because they both play for both teams.
Oh,
it's a good call.
We got to get them.
Call.
We got to get them back. We got to get Brad there. Brad played for both teams, and we got to have interviews before the game where they've got to pick a side.
Oh,
well,
look
yeah,
Jason working. I like this.
See, this is the wrestling aspect of this. That's why this game makes so much more sense. Is when you look at it through a professional wrestling lens. James, you got to get locked into wrestling. James, watch WrestleManias 1 through 37 and get caught up, and you'll get it.
Like when I tell my girlfriend I'm playing a heel, she's like, "Oh God, here we go again with this. You're going to be a jerk to me." and she gets it, you know, and she understands it's only a role for a certain situation. You know, you can always go back the other way, and it's always about the storyline. At the end of the day, is it a good story?
Okay.
Wrestling applies to all areas of life, just about.
And the stage is set for a good story tomorrow. Vince McMahon booked this one beautifully. I actually like the idea. I'm curious if someone like Ron is there in Peja, and if they bring guys out, because I've said the was it Detroit, James, that set the Golden One Center record a couple of weeks ago? I think it was the 3:00 Detroit game.
Yeah.
I think that record's going to be smashed tomorrow night, especially after that sale they did yesterday, that Cyber Monday sale they did yesterday. I think that record is going to be smashed tomorrow night.
Yeah. And all we need De'Aaron and Tyrese to get into it. It's like, you know, we need them to get tangled up and somebody overreacts and
go face to face like Jordan and Xavier McDaniels did.
Yeah, we need like Sabonis to trip Buddy or something. And we just need anarchy.
Oh, I'm all for it.
I could just see Buddy trying to like get the whole thing riled up and just like it'd be like that sometimes, you know, and facts. He'd say facts like 50 times. Facts. Like I think we're gonna. I'm excited to see it.
Buddy's getting up 18 threes tomorrow, at least.
Yeah.
Does Jason Anderson accidentally cheer when Buddy hits a three?
It won't be an accident.
Okay.
He'll also post a inappropriate Buddy Hield Halloween costume outfit the second Buddy hits a three.
Buddy's gonna have a few fans there tomorrow night.
I believe it.
It'll be worse than like when Kobe's last game and I was there and I was just like, you know, it'll be worse, you know.
Well, yeah. In your defense, there was an arena full of Kobe fans there at that last game. That I think to this day is still the loudest game I've ever been at, because there were so many Laker fans there. And in that fourth quarter, the game went back and forth. So every time anyone did anything, it got crazy loud for the entire fourth quarter.
Yeah, but for a game between two teams that were going nowhere, it was quite entertaining.
Just terrible. Are you concerned about this 3-game losing streak the Kings are on? You're pretty level-headed. You never get too high, you never get too low. But like, do you read too much into this streak the Kings are on?
I really don't, for a couple of reasons. One, going into the trip, I thought they would probably lose at Atlanta and Boston, so I can't get all riled up when I thought those were games they could probably lose. And you run into Trae Young, Jason Tatum, Devin Booker 3 games in a row. The odds are you might lose all 3. But it wasn't a game where, outside of Boston, they just didn't get run off the court for the most. And even in Boston, it was close until all of a sudden it went, Boston went Boston on them.
Yeah.
And even like last night, they fought down to the very end. So it wasn't like you watch the game and say, they don't belong on the same court with those guys. This is terrible. This is a huge setback. Because, were they as good as the winning streak overall? Maybe not. Are they like terrible because they've lost 3 in a row? No. So I think it's all kind of balances out. So I wouldn't be panicked right now. Now, if they lose like 5 in a row, you say, okay, maybe we got something to worry about. And I know I've heard all the counter arguments analytically to why their defense isn't that bad. Miss me with that. You can't keep giving up 120 and be like, well, but they make plays sometimes in the fourth. No, you can't do that consistently and be like, well, it's okay, because you realize when you break this number down and move this number around, in the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, they're a top 8 defense. Well, the game's 48 minutes. And so you're going to have to still get better on that end.
I thought James was going to jump in there.
My bad.
That's fine. No, that's all right.
Either he's going to jump in or he hates what I just said. And he's like, let me.
Well, no, I think
we're good.
James prefers the measured take rather than my over-the-top battle for the universe take that I have on this. Can you, bruh, what the hell happened last night?
Last night with what?
The Lakers and the Pacers.
I know what hit when I was watching it. I said when they got it to 101-91, I said Darvin Ham called timeout. I don't like where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
And then AD misses with free. I mean, and then even I'm like, just get the rebound. It's over. And then the ball, the balls. I'm like, it was. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that happened, because really the Lakers have been playing a whole lot better the last 2-3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I was like, oh God. I mean, I think there's probably about 5-8 games a year like that where you just go, what, that happens to everyone. But I was just like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Like once AD missed that free throw, I was like, uh-oh. But you know what? It could be the basketball gods. They had no business beating New Orleans that game either.
Mm.
Where New Orleans misses 2 free throws, they get a 3 from the other Matt Ryan to tie it. So that's probably like the basketball guys balancing it out. Like you had no business winning that game, so now there's a game you have no business losing that you're going to lose. So yeah, that was different.
If one single thing in the final 4 minutes and 10 seconds goes different, the Pacers don't win.
Right.
Just one thing goes different, the Pacers don't win. It was just a series of events that kept happening, one after the other, after the other, after the other, that wound up in the Tyrese assist for the 3. And
they call that, they don't call that foul. My man is on the sideline struggling to do with the ball. He might turn it over and it's game over. The foul actually allowed them to set something up that leads to the everything that happened, and Tyrese find somebody I'd never heard of. And I said, oh, it's going in. And then LeBron waits on the court well, maybe I'm like, no, they're not turning this over. No, that's going to count.
Yeah, Andrew Nebhard. We brought this up too. Tyrese just has that knack for making just almost anyone better. And it was a perfect pass, found the guy wide open. But you put faith in a guy. It reminded me a little bit of the play last year where De'Aaron Fox got to the middle and flung a ball to Chimezie Metu in the corner for an open 3 at the buzzer, and he hit it. If you hand the power to guys that maybe aren't used to the moment, but you empower them in that moment, sometimes good things happen.
Yeah, I mean, in that moment, he's got to catch and shoot. There's no decision for him to make. The ball's coming to me. I got to shoot this. There's no, I got to back it out. So, yeah, like I said, in that last 4 minutes, everything that could work for the Pacers worked. Every little thing. Because, even look at the Kings game, they get it down to 3. They get one more thing to go haywire. But instead, they don't get that rebound, and then they Phoenix gets a couple of free throws. So yeah, it was a weird one, as I kind of did my little league pass, at the end of the night, of course I might be on the West Coast by the end of the night, because usually only 2 or 3 games to kind of go through at that point. So
the Pacers and Kings have taken different roads to get here. I think the Pacers are 12-9 now. The Kings are 10-9. Again, they took different roads, but they both won 7 of their last 10. all of the Tyrese and Sabonis, who doesn't get mentioned in this, De'Aaron, Buddy, all of that stuff aside, these are two teams that are probably a little bit better than most people expected them to be at this point. And this is likely because it's not it's not Phoenix, who's a potential title contender. It's not Boston, who's a potential title contender. These are two teams kind of on the same tier right now. It's a litmus test for both of them.
Yeah, and I think you're looking at I remember with the trade, someone had made the point to me that why did you keep De'Aaron? He'll probably never be an all-star, and maybe Tyrese has a better chance to be one in the East. I mean, I was hearing a couple of wild takes. Now you're looking at, who would have thought at this point you're talking about both of them possibly on that track. So yeah, it's a good litmus test for both of them. I think Indiana's probably more ahead of schedule or above. If you'd have told me the Kings would be 10-9, I could believe that. I wouldn't have banked on, Indiana being 12-9. So, I mean, I think, but like I said, both of them playing a little bit of, playing maybe a little bit above what people thought they were going to be. But I like what both of them. I mean, they're tough. They got those guys they drafted the last couple of years. They've got, they got some length out there. I mean, they're fun to watch. They beat the Lakers in part because they just had energy at the end. They were in, and they just beat the Lakers to a couple of loose balls, last night. The Lakers grabbed one of those rebounds, the game's over. So you get a team like they get the Kings who are going to get up and down and all that. Tyrese, even though I think some of the whole Tyrese talking about sack has been overblown. Like if you go on social media, you swear Tyrese wakes up in the morning, brushes his teeth, and goes, "I hate sack." Because every time he makes a comment, "Oh my God, Tyrese." His feeling, I'm like, I'll forgive. I mean, Tyrese for having hurt feelings about a trade. I'll forgive him for that. And I did hit mute on my messages. I don't know what that one is, but I don't know. Last week it was like
he's getting blown up last week. There was speculation that it was Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, but I mean, this is going to be fun because obviously we never actually got to watch Tyrese play against De'Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have your Tyrese hive, your De'Aaron hive. You're going to have your random people in the national media who don't know De'Aaron's any good and go, "How could you not trade De'Aaron?"
There's a lot of those.
And they've clearly never watched the Kings play when they make those comments. They're like, "What do you mean? Why would And they're looking at stuff like, "Well, he's on his rookie contract." Well, De'Aaron is on a max contract, so that kind of matters when you're making a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Or what you think about the guy, in the organization. You don't give that guy a max contract and trade him in a year.
Yeah.
Unless you get, I don't know what you would have gotten, but it's gonna be fun. But unfortunately, I guess not. Maybe I don't know if it's unfortunate because it's the Kings and the Pacers. It's not going to get like that first, high segment of Sports Center treatment unless the guys get into a WWE fight.
We're pulling for that, Jason. Oh, yeah. Do you miss it? And I guess too, we covered De'Aaron as like a 19-year-old kid. How fun is it to see him hit this moment in his career where everything seems to be going well for him? He just got married. He's got a baby on the way now. We're watching him grow up, but as we remember the spiky-haired kid that we dealt with every day.
Yeah, when I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, I was like, "Man, you're old now." I'm like, "You're old." I mean, and old, of course, is I'm like, "Man, you're old now." And we were just kind of, catching up and, just even hear his perspective, how how he's kind of grown up and changed and matured and how he sees things. We forget how young he was when he got to Sacramento. And I think a lot of times now we probably judge these youngsters a little too harshly early on. It's like he's 19. Like when I was 19, I was in the dorms playing Madden. I couldn't imagine being a millionaire. And I would have made so many bad decisions. I already know I'd have probably 7-8 kids or just something ridiculous. I'd be like the Sean Kemp of the media, just be like, "Man, out of control." But it's cool to be able to see, kind of see the guys from a distance. Like when I come around, it's like I'm like an old guy they remember. Like, hey, remember him?
What's up, OG?
Yeah. Or as De'Aaron might remind me, I can hang out with his dad. I'm old enough to hang out with his dad. Like, he was like when Zebo got traded, he's like, man, my dad's more mad than anybody. I was his homie. Like, they hung out. They're like about the same age. And I was like, God, De'Aaron really is that much younger than me. Yeah,
Yep.
and that's when I knew I've been doing it for a while, when I realized the rookies could like be my children.
Wow.
Yep.
This is a question for both of you. Jason, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Could Tyrese and De'Aaron be where they are right now if they were both still on the Sacramento Kings?
I don't think so. I don't think. I think Tyrese is a true old school type point guard who has to have the ball, and his job is to be he's a floor general, and he wasn't going to be that in that role, because when the trade got made, I said I know it sounds mean, but the Kings basically traded their backup point guard. I know he was starting, but the team was about De'Aaron, and that's the way it was going to be. And I don't think we're not seeing Tyrese flourish that way. And I think we even saw last year, they were trying to figure it out. I think they both had the best of intentions, but I don't know if it was ever going to fully work, because Tyrese had his best games when De'Aaron was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if De'Aaron is what he is right now, if he has to, because I mean, not everyone has kind of the makeup to play with another point guard. And even though I know De'Aaron likes playing off the ball sometime and things of that sort, the fact is that he's at his best when he's with the ball attacking. And especially before this season, when the three really wasn't falling for him consistently, you couldn't just put De'Aaron in the corner and ask him to shoot. You're taking away. You're now not using his greatest asset, his speed, and you're highlighting a weakness, which at that point would be his outside shooting. And so, yeah, I just don't think they're both where they are right now if they're still together. So sometimes you make a great draft pick, and that draft pick becomes valuable because you can flip it to something else, which the Kings did.
Yeah, I agree with Jason. I don't think there's any way, which never happens, actually. Me and Jason never agree. Historically speaking, we don't usually agree. But I honestly think that it's not even that, like, a true point guard versus a score first point guard. It really does come down to they're just two guys that have to have the ball in their hands, whether they're scoring, whether they're assisting, whatever they're doing. It's how they were brought up as basketball players. It's how they were made to feel comfortable as basketball players. And I think that the way that the Kings attacked this offseason with Fox, where they really worked on that, on how to play off the ball, how to get balance on your shots, all the things that Luke Locks worked with De'Aaron during the offseason. If the Kings would have tried to do that the year before, then maybe you would have had some sort of opportunity. But even still, Haliburton is a guy who really makes his pick and roll man better. He's a guy that, if you're in the corner, he'll sling it to you in the corner. He's not someone who's going to make that other guy right next to him better all the time. And so I think that they would have really struggled to mesh forever. And again, like when they traded him, he was averaging 14 points a game as far as Haliburton. That wasn't really working, and Fox was averaging 20. It just, nothing felt right about it. And once you made the move, both of them just look like different players again.
I agree.
It's very rare that a trade works out for both teams, and early in the process, it looks like this trade has worked out for everybody. For now, though, that's our instant gratification world. Who knows what it's going to look like in 3 years, 4 years. I know Tyrese is really good. He's leading the league in assists right now. I know De'Aaron Fox is really good. And more importantly to this conversation, Domantas Sabonis is really good. He's not, he's probably not going to lead the league in anything, though he'll be, near the top in rebounds. But the fact that he's capable of getting, what do you have, like 17, 9, and 10 pretty regularly, or 17, 10, and 9 pretty regularly, and able to add a few steals here and a couple other aspects there. Jay, he's such a unique component. to the Sacramento Kings team. And more than the Tyrese stuff, more than the trade, more than it being Indiana, the fact that it's two good teams kind of fighting for respect this season, I think is what makes tomorrow's game really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And you got some, like, I don't know if Sabonis is doing what he's doing now, if he's still in Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't know. And I think, it helped both teams. It allowed Indiana to kind of reset, get off of the Sabonis deal, and kind of look to the future by getting what's clearly now a foundational piece for them. And the Kings were in a different space. They really didn't need to get another young guy. I think even years ago, Vlade had the right idea with, I don't need any more young guys, but you got to get the right guys. And now you're getting the right guys to go with your young guys. Like, this is I've always said about De'Aaron, this is like the first time he's had like a legit team around him where they can go 8, 9, 10, and you're not going, oh my God, you're giving that guy, like, I don't know. If you want to call Terrence Davis the 10th man, if Terrence Davis was not on the Kings, he'd still be in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, the Kings had guys who were their 7th, 8th men who, once they weren't with the Kings, they were out the league.
Kings had their 3rd, 4th, and 5th men who
they had starters who would be gone out the league in a year. So I mean, like I said, I just think I'm happy for De'Aaron in the sense that you got a team now. So now you can, we can see everything you were supposed to be. Can you be that? That you got some help? Because I always said, yeah, I know people are hard on De'Aaron. They're critical of him. He can do this better, that better. But the team's also got to help De'Aaron. And I think now the team has helped De'Aaron, and we're seeing the result because the team helped him instead of saying, you know what, let's get guys who don't want to run and then put him with probably the fastest guy in the league and wonder why it looks bad. And I know De'Aaron, especially when he was younger, he'd be like, I want to run. These guys don't want to run. And they would say run anyway. He'd be like, okay, I could run. And that was me against 3 people. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's all, and then Indiana, like, Tyrese is perfect with those guys they've got out there. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. I think it's going to be fun. And the Kings can maybe get some revenge from my friends in LA for what happened to them.
Well, yeah, most definitely. And if KC was here, he'd say, hey, thank Josh Jacobs for doing the 49ers a solid this past weekend.
Could y'all just forget that part? That had nothing to do with doing the night. This is what gets me about Niner fans. A month ago, a bunch of y'all hated Jimmy G and were all despondent. Now, all of a sudden, I knew all along, and I'm on record. I said before the year, if you want to go to the Super Bowl, start Jimmy. I said that from day one. Everybody thought I was crazy.
Well,
and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, see, we knew all along, and thanks a lot, Raiders. I'm like, no, we didn't. That wasn't for that. The Raiders are 4-8. They didn't need the help. They're trying to help themselves. They won a game where they had to, go against 12 guys after an interception, which I've never.
Crazy. That's crazy.
I think my man was trying to celebrate and then said, "Oh my God, the play is still blocking." I was like,
"See, there's a twist. I didn't think of that, Jason."
I think he was like, "Yeah, we got a pick." He's like, "Oh my God, let me go ahead and block somebody." And no one caught it, But yeah, I've had my phone was blowing up on Sunday from Niner fans. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't stand y'all. I'm like, I wish Russell Wilson was still in the NFC West because I know that'd be another guaranteed loss for them.
Kenny texted you on Sunday, didn't he?
No, he didn't. He was one of the only people who didn't.
Oh, okay.
He got other things to worry about. He ain't,
You might have been a little preoccupied.
Yeah, but all my other Niner fan friends, they were all on my head. Oh, wow, that was a great game by the Raiders. Thank you. It was a great win. I was like, go away.
We appreciate you, Jay. Thanks as always, my brother.
Catch y'all next week. Take it easy.